Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss the topic financial planning from the chapter Financial Management. Dear children, after going through this unit, you would be able to understand the concept and objectives of financial planning and to explain the importance of financial planning. Financial planning means deciding in advance how much to spend on what to spend according to the funds at your disposal. Or you can say financial planning is the preparation of a financial blueprint of an organization's future operations, focusing on fund requirements and their availability in the light of financial decisions. Long term planning relates to capital expenditure programs for 3 to 5 years. Detailed planning, called budget, is made for a short term of 1 year or less. So, now we will discuss types of financial planning and factors affecting the financial planning. But before it, we will discuss objectives of financial planning. First objective of financial planning is to ensure availability of funds whenever required. The funds required for different purposes, such as for the purchase of long-term asset or to meet day-to-day expenses of business, are to be estimated. There is a need to estimate the time at which these funds are to be made available. Second objective of financial planning is to be to see that the firm does not raise resources unnecessarily or excess. Financial planning aims to put even the surplus fund to the best possible use so that the financial resources are not left idle and don't unnecessarily add to the cost. So, now the importance of financial planning. It helps in forecasting what may happen in future under different business situations and prepare alternative plans. Second importance is it helps in avoiding business shocks and surprises. It helps in coordinating various business functions by providing clear policies and procedures. Financial planning tries to link the present with the future. Detailed plans of actions prepared under financial planning reduce waste, duplication of efforts, and gaps in planning. It provides a link between investment and financing decisions on a continuous basis. It makes the evaluation of actual performance easier by spelling out detailed objectives. Now, the capital structure. Capital structure means proportion of capital, or you can say proportion of debt and equity used for financing the operations of business. Capital structure is equal to debt upon equity, means amount of debt and amount of equity. Proportion between debt and equity, or proportion between owner's capital and borrowed capital. The meaning of capital structure is the mix between owners and borrowed funds. These shall be referred as equity and debt. If it is greater than 1, interest expenses will be high, and if it is less than 1, shareholders can be hopeful for getting some things in case of liquidation. It can be calculated as debt equity ratio or debt upon equity. It can also be calculated as the proportion of debt out of total capital, that is debt upon debt plus equity. Debt means borrowed capital and equity means owners or proprietors fund. The cost of debt is lower than the cost of equity for a firm because the lender's risk is lower than the equity shareholder's risk. Since the lender earns an assured return and repayment of capital, and therefore they should require a low rate of return. Additionally, interest paid on debt is a deductible expense for computation of tax liability, whereas dividends are paid out of after tax profit. Now, the earning before interest and tax, or earning per share. EBIT means E for earning, B for profit, I for interest, T for tax, earning before interest and tax. EPS means earning per share. The proportion of debt in the overall capital is also called financial leverage. As the financial leverage increases, the cost of funds declines because of increased use of cheaper debt, but the financial risk increases. The impact of financial leverage on the profitability of a business can be seen through earning before interest and tax and earning per share. Now, the example of debt equity ratio and earning per share. This example, this is a company X Limited. His total funds used rupees 30 lakhs. Interest rate is 10%. Tax rate is 30%. Earning before interest and tax is rupees 4 lakhs. And now there are three situations. In situation 1, there is no debt or borrowed capital. In situation 2, there are 10 lakhs rupees as borrowed capital. And in situation 3, borrowed capital is rupees 20 lakhs. In simple words, you can say that in first situation, no borrowed fund. Second situation, borrowed fund is 10 lakhs. And in third situation, borrowed fund is 20 lakhs. Now there is analysis of EBIT and EPS. In first situation, we can taking earning before interest and tax. It is equal in all situation, 4 lakhs, 4 lakhs and 4 lakhs. Interest rate in first situation, no interest, and because of no borrowed fund. In second situation, there is 1 lakh rupees or as interest, and third situation there is amount of rupees 2 lakhs as interest. After interest, earning is in situation 1 rupees 4 lakhs, in situation 2 rupees 3 lakhs, in situation 3 rupees 2 lakhs. ये 4 लाख 3 लाख 2 लाख कैसे आया है? जो अर्निंग बिफोर इंटरेस्ट एंड टैक्स था 4 लाख रुपया, उसमें से इंटरेस्ट डिडक्ट किया गया है. तो इंटरेस्ट डिडक्शन के बाद हमारे पास जो अर्निंग बचेगी वो होगी 4 लाख 3 लाख एंड 2 लैक्स. नाउ टैक्स. अब ये जो अर्निंग बची इसमें से टैक्स डिडक्ट करना पड़ेगा. सो टैक्स रेट इज 30% given in the question. 30% of 4 lakhs, 30% of 3 lakhs and 30% of 2 lakhs. So net amount of tax in situation 1 rupees 1,20,000, in situation 2 rupees 90,000, in situation 3 rupees 60,000. So after deduction tax, earning after tax will be 2 lakhs 80,000, 2 lakhs 10,000 and rupees 1,40,000 in situation 3. So now the number of shares of rupees 10 are 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs and 1 lakhs respectively. Earning per share will be calculated as earning after tax divided by number of equity share, and earning per share will be in situation 1 rupees 0.93, in situation 2 rupees 1.05 and in situation 3 rupees 1.40. So this is the analysis of debt equity ratio and earning per share. There is an example 2. There are three situations, situation 1, 2 and 3. Earning before interest and tax in situation 1 2 lakhs, in situation 2 2 lakhs, in situation 3 2 lakhs. Interest rate in situation 1 nil, situation 2 1 lakh, situation 3 2 lakhs. So earning after tax will be 2 lakhs, 1 lakh and nil in respectively. Tax rate in situation 1 rupees 60,000, in situation 2 30,000, situation 3 nil because there is no earning. So earning after tax will be in situation 1 rupees 1,40,000. 140,000 is equal to 2 lakhs minus 60,000. In situation 2 70,000 and in situation 3 there is no earning. Number of shares of rupees 10. Situation 1 3 lakhs, in 2 2 lakhs, in third situation 1 lakh. So earning per share will be 47 paisa in situation 1, 35 paisa in situation 2 and 0 or nil amount in situation 3. So this is the capital structure. Now the factors affecting the choice of capital structure. First factor is cash flow position. Cash flow must or not only cover fixed cash payment obligations, but there must be sufficient buffer also. Second factor is interest coverage ratio or ICR. If it is higher, the company may fail to pay interest on loans. Third factor is debt service coverage ratio or DSCR. Higher DSCR means higher borrowing capacity. Next is return on investment. If return on investment is higher, it can choose to use trading on equity to increase its earning per share. That is, the ability to use debt is greater. Next factor is cost of debt. A firm's ability to borrow at a lower rate increases its capacity to employ higher debt. So these are the factors affecting capital structure. Next factor is tax rate. Higher tax rate makes debt cheaper as interest paid to debt security holder is subtracted from income before calculating tax, whereas companies have to pay tax on dividend paid to shareholder. So high end tax rate means prefer debt, whereas at low tax rate we can prefer equity in capital structure. Next factor is flotation cost. Flotation cost is the cost involved in the issue of shares or debentures. These costs include the cost of advertisement, underwriting, statutory fees, etc. Issue of shares, debentures requires more formalities as well as more flotation cost, whereas there is less cost involved in raising capital by loans or advances. Next factor is risk consideration. It refers to a position when a company is unable to meet its fixed financial charges such as interest, preference dividend, payment to creditors, etc. If firm's business risk is low, then it can raise more capital by issue of debt securities, whereas at the time of high business risk, it should depend upon equity shares. So these are the factors which affect the capital structure. There are some more factors which affect the capital structure. One more is control. The equity shareholders are considered as the owners of the company and they have complete control over the company. If existing shareholders want complete control, then they should prefer debt, loans of amount, small amount, etc. If they don't mind sharing the control, then they may go for equity share also. Next factor is regulatory framework. Issue of shares and debentures have to be done within the Security Exchange Board of India guidelines, and for taking loans, companies have to follow the regulations of monetary policies. If SEBI or Securities Exchange Board of India guidelines are easy, then companies may prefer issue of securities for additional capital, whereas if monetary policies are more flexible, then they may go for more of loans. Next factor is stock market conditions. There are two main conditions of market, that is boom condition and recession or depression condition. These conditions affect the capital structure, especially when companies planning to raise additional capital. Depending upon the market condition, the investors may be more careful in their dealings. During depression period in the market, business is slow and investors also hesitate to take risk. So at this time it is advisable to issue borrowed fund securities, as these are less risky and ensure fixed repayment and regular payment of interest. But if there is boom period, business is flourishing and investors also take risk and prefer to invest in equity shares to earn more in the form of dividend. Next factor is capital structure of other companies. It is very important factor which affect the choice of capital structure. Some companies frame their capital structure according to industrial norms, but proper care must be taken, as blindly following industrial norms may lead to financial risk. If firm cannot afford high risk, it should not raise more debt only because other firms are raising. So these are the total factors which affecting the choice of capital structure. Now the fixed and working capital. Fixed capital or fixed assets are those which remains in the business for more than 1 year, usually much longer, that is plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, land and buildings, vehicles, etc. Working capital is required for current assets. Current assets are those assets which, in the normal routine of the business, get converted into cash or cash equivalents within 1 year. For example, inventories, debtors, bills receivable, etc. Now, the importance of management of investment decisions. First is long term growth. The funds invested will affect the future prospectus of the business. Second importance is large amount of funds involved, because in financial management there are large amount of funds are involved. These need a detailed analysis, as a substantial portion of funds are blocked in long term projects. Next is risk involved. Fixed capital involves business risk of the firm. It is irreversible decisions. Abandoning a project after heavy investment is made is quite costly in terms of waste of funds. Therefore, these decisions should be taken only after carefully evaluating each detail, or else the company may face serious problems. Now, the factors affecting the requirement of fixed capital. Fixed capital means allocation of firm's capital to long-term assets or project. Managing fixed capital is related to investment decision, and it is also called capital busting. The capital busting decision affect the growth and profitability of the company. The long-term assets being benefits over a long-term period, and investment in these assets involves huge amount of funds. The capital busting decisions include purchase of land, building, plant, machinery, change of technology, expenditure of advertising campaign, research and development, etc. Now the factors. First factor which affect the requirement of fixed capital is nature of business. The type of business company is involved in it in is the first factor which helps in deciding the requirement of fixed capital. A manufacturing company needs more fixed capital as compared to a trading company, as trading company does not need plant, machinery, etc. Second factor is scale of operations. The company which are operating at large scale requirement more fixed capital, as they need more machineries and other assets, whereas small scale industries or enterprises need less amount of fixed capital. Next factor is techniques of production. Companies using capital intensive techniques require more fixed capital, whereas companies using labor intensive techniques require less capital, because capital intensive technique make use of plant and machinery, and company needs more fixed capital to buy plants and machinery. Next factor is technology upgradation. Industries in which technology upgradation is fast need more amount of fixed capital, as when new technology is invested, old machines become obsolete and they need to buy new plant and machinery, whereas companies where technology upgradation is slow, they require less fixed capital as they can manage with old machines. Next factor is growth prospectus. Companies which are expanding and have higher growth plan require more fixed capital. As to expand, they need to expand their production capacity, and to expand production capacity, companies need more plant and machinery, so more fixed capital. Next factor is diversification. Companies which have plans to diversify their activities by including more range of products require more fixed capital. As to produce more products, they require more plants and machineries, which means more fixed capital. Next factor is availability of finance and leasing facility. If companies can arrange financial and leasing facilities easily, then they require less fixed capital, as they can acquire assets on easy installment instead of paying huge amount at one time. On the other hand, if easy loan and leasing facilities are not available, then more fixed capital is needed, as companies will have to buy plant and machinery by paying large or huge amount together. And last factor is level of collaboration or joint venture. If companies are preferring collaborations, joint ventures, then companies will need less fixed capital, as they can share plant and machinery with their collaborators. But if companies prefers to operate as independent, until then there is more requirement of fixed capital. So these are the factors which affect the requirement of fixed capital. Now the working capital. Working capital means excess of current assets over current liabilities. There are some example of working capital. First is cash in hand, cash at bank, marketable securities, bills receivable, debtors or bills trade receivables, finished goods inventory, work in progress, raw materials and prepaid expenses. Current liabilities. There are some example of current liabilities we have discussed in previous class in accountancy. First is bills payable, creditors, outstanding expenses and advances received from customers, etc. So these are the example of current assets and current liabilities. Now the meaning of working capital. Working capital means excess of current assets over current liabilities, and net working capital means some part of current asset is usually financed through short-term sources, that is current liabilities. The rest is financed through long-term sources and is called net working capital. So net working capital is equal to current asset minus current liabilities. Now the factors which are affecting the working capital requirement. First factor is nature of business. The type of business firm is involved in is the next consideration while deciding the working capital. In case of trading concern or retail shop, the requirement of working capital is less because length of operating cycle is small. The wholesalers as compared to retail shop require more working capital, as they have to maintain large stock and generally sell goods on credit, which increases the length of operating cycle. The manufacturing company requires huge amount of working capital because they have to convert raw material into finished goods, sell on credit, maintain the inventory of raw material as well as finished goods. Next factor is scale of operation. The firms operating as large scale need to maintain more inventory, debtors, etc. So they generally require large working capital, whereas firms operating at small level or small scale requires less working capital. Next factor is business cycle fluctuation. During boom period, the market is flourishing, so more demand, more production, more stock, more debtors, which mean more amount of working capital is required. Whereas during depression period, low demand, less inventories to be maintained, less debtors, so less working capital will be required. Next factor is seasonal factor. In peak season, large amount of working capital is required. Next factor is production cycle. Duration and the length of production cycle affects the amount of funds required for raw material and expenses. Next factor is credit policy. A liberal credit policy results in higher amount of debtors, increasing the requirements of working capital. Next factor is credit availed. Another factor related to credit policy is how much and for how long period company is getting credit from its suppliers. If suppliers of raw material are giving long-term credit, then company can manage with less amount of working capital. Whereas if suppliers are giving only short period credit, then company will require more working capital to make payment to creditors. Next factor is availability of raw material. If raw material are easily available and there is a ready supply of raw material and inputs, then firm can manage with less amount of working capital also, as they need not maintain any stock of raw material, or they can manage with very less stock. Whereas if the supply of raw material is not smooth, then firms need to maintain large inventory to carry on operating cycle smoothly, so they require more working capital. Next is growth prospectus. Growth companies will require large amount of working capital. Next factor is level of competition. Higher level of competition may necessitate large stock of finished goods. Inflation, with rising prices, large amount are required even to maintain a constant volume of production and sales. So these are the factors which are affecting the requirement of capital structure. Thank you for watching the video.